I'm going to share the 12 things that smart cruisers always do so that you can benefit from their experience. Some may seem like common sense, probably because a couple of them are, and others may go against everything that you thought you knew, and these are the ones that can help make the difference between a good cruise and an incredible one. Whether you're new to cruising or even if you have a few cruises under your belt, there are always some new things that we can learn to make our experience even better and certainly to help avoid disaster. These tips range from the things that you should do immediately after booking your cruise to embarkation day hacks to port day tips and even a way to make your disembarkation pain-free. Ahoy sailors, my name is Rob and I'm here to tackle Virgin Voyages one topic at a time. Welcome to OVT. So why don't we just jump into it? The first thing that smart and experienced cruise passengers always do is a step that they take immediately after booking their cruise. They download the cruise line's app right after booking and they build their profile. While some cruise lines like Royal and Celebrity won't let you book your embarkation time until about 45 days prior to sailing, others like Virgin Voyages allow you to reserve your embarkation time as soon as you book, but it has to be done on the app. And if your goal is to get on the ship as early as possible, and I know that's always our goal, the sooner you get into the app, the earlier you'll get onto the ship. The second thing that smart cruisers always do is a little bit of research to understand when you can book things in advance, and then they do it. Dinner reservations fill up quickly. Things like loading up your bar tab need to be done before you get on the ship. Shore excursions that are offered through the ship, well, they often sell out, especially the ones that are worth taking. And then things like spa treatments, drink packages and internet packages, these need to be bought in advance if you want to save money. Sometimes big money. On Royal Caribbean, you can save up to $40 a day on their drink package by buying it in advance. So that's $560 in savings for a couple on a week-long cruise if you do it in advance. See what I mean when I say smart cruisers? The third thing that smart cruisers always do is to get travel insurance. I'm not talking about trip cancellation insurance. Forget about losing $3,000 or $4,000 if you miss your trip for some reason. Most of us aren't covered for medical emergencies when we travel outside of our country. And those are the kinds of expenses that could force us to remortgage our houses. For us, we can pay $40 per trip for insurance, but we travel enough that we've bought the $100 or so package that covers all of our travel for a full year, including our medical needs, whether it's on board or in another country. It even covers the cost of evacuation if needed. Just a few weeks ago, this Norwegian passenger ran up a $10,000 medical bill just for getting sick on the ship. Not injured, just sick. And last year, this passenger who needed to be flown back to the US from Mexico was $21,000 out of pocket. And I've heard stories of helicopter evacuations from ships costing over $50,000. $40 is worth it. Before sharing the next 9 things that smart cruisers always do, while not new to cruising, I am a pretty new YouTuber. So if you'd be willing to hit the subscribe button down there, that one right over there, I'd be grateful. And maybe that like button as well. Thank you in advance. Let's get back into it with the fourth thing that smart cruisers always do. Despite preferring to save the extra travel day or the $250 on a hotel room, they always fly in at least one day before they board the ship. Why? Well, have you seen the statistics lately? In January and February, a total of 52,000 US flights were delayed or canceled. While improving slightly over the last couple of months, the average on-time percentage for the top 5 US airlines has been less than 75%. That means that 1 in 4 passengers experiences delays. Now, these could be an hour or they could be a day or longer. And as you know, the ship will not wait for you. Just last week, I read about this passenger who missed their ship. Their flight was supposed to land in Miami just before 11 o'clock in the morning, and the ship wasn't leaving until 4 p.m. 5 hours is lots of time, right? Well, their plane had technical delays and they had to wait for a new one to arrive. They ended up landing, I think it was about a half hour after their cruise left, and the cruise line wouldn't let them meet up with the ship at the next port. Yeesh. The fifth thing that smart cruisers always do, they arrive at the cruise terminal on time. Sure, we can all hope that the ship will let us board an hour early, but unless you have one of those last boarding times, this rarely happens. Just like trying to get onto an airplane early, boarding groups were created for a reason, and most cruise lines stick to them. The advice smart cruisers will share is to arrive at the port no more than 15 minutes early. If there's any wiggle room, 15 minutes seems to be the most they'll bend. And this will help you avoid waiting out in the sun and the heat, and it'll also help keep your travel groups cursing to a minimum. You may not love the sixth thing that smart cruisers always do, but this is great advice. They always travel with a passport. Yes, most closed loop cruises in the US will allow you to board with your birth certificate, but not all. We just got off a cruise that stopped in a couple of the Caribbean islands that demand a passport. And we got multiple emails before our sailing that warned us that if we showed up without a passport, we'd be denied boarding. Also, what if you get stuck somewhere and you miss your ship's all aboard time? Or if you have a medical emergency? A couple of weeks ago, a cruise passenger broke his leg on an excursion and needed to get to the hospital. By the time he got treated, his ship was long gone. He didn't have a passport, and he got to spend his next few days at the US Embassy. Finally, missed ship fears aside, disembarkation is just way faster with a passport. Most cruise terminals now use facial recognition, but only if you have a passport. Those who don't, they need to wait in a separate line. On our last cruise just a few weeks ago, we were literally through the customs line in less than 2 to 3 minutes. The line for the people with birth certificates to see the one customs officer who was working was taking over 45 minutes. Once you board, the seventh thing that smart cruisers always do is to avoid the most common gathering areas after embarkation. The ship's staff is trained to send you up to the buffet, and because of that, it is so packed. Last time we tried that was a few years ago. I remember we walked around for 15 to 20 minutes and we couldn't find any empty seats and gave up. Just know that there are always other options, and often better ones. On Virgin Voyages, we go to the dock when we board. It's less crowded, it has great views, delicious food and drinks, and it's a great way to get our vacation started. Do a little bit of research before your cruise to find out what food options are available on your ship, and you'll be glad you did. The eighth thing that smart cruisers always do is to use their port days strategically. It's so common to just hop off the ship wherever you dock, but spend a little bit of time before your cruise or even at the excursion desk on the ship to understand when an excursion is needed or beneficial. Sometimes the port is a great place to just walk around and explore, and sometimes it's not. We're going to Grand Bahama Island on an upcoming cruise, and there's nothing there. It's an industrial port with a half-hour ride into town. If we spent $250 on excursions at every single port that we went to, we'd go broke. But this is one where an excursion definitely makes sense. Also, if there's something iconic wherever you're going, you won't want to miss that. When we sailed to Roatan, Honduras a couple of years ago, we absolutely wanted to hug a sloth. We looked into our options and we found a way to do that pretty quickly and inexpensively, and we still talk about it to this day. The ninth thing that smart cruisers sometimes do, in this case, is to stay on board and just skip the port, or even just to go walk around for an hour and then head back to the ship. Personally, we love the ship, and we don't think of cruising as just the destinations, but also the journey, which of course includes the ship. When you're in port, the pool deck and the restaurants are quiet. Things like the spa are often discounted and quieter. If you wanted to go to the thermal suite on your cruise, for example, it will be completely serene on port days, which is very different from how it will be on a sea day. Just know that there will also be a lot of closures on the ship. The casino is going to be closed, and most of the stores will be closed while the ship is docked. Okay, double digits. The 10th thing that smart cruise passengers always do is to choose their dining times very carefully. They take a look at their itinerary to understand when their all aboard time is each day, to make sure that they're not planning an early dinner if they prefer to be off the ship until, let's say, 8 o'clock at night. And if possible, they also avoid eating during the roughest sea times, which is usually during the sail away from port when the ship has to do all those fancy maneuvers in order to get back out to sea. Especially if you worry about seasickness, this is one of the few things that you can actually control that will reduce the likelihood that you'll feel lousy. The 11th thing the smart cruisers always do is to know what's included in their cruise and what isn't. This is a big one. Most of the major cruise lines actually make most of their profit by upselling passengers or providing for-pay options. And smart cruisers know which ones to avoid. Those welcome cocktails that look so inviting when you get up to the pool deck after embarkation, well, they could cost $15 to $20. Photos that are taken as you walk through the ship are at least $20 each. Fun things like go-karts and bingo, extra. Specialty dining on most ships, extra and not cheap. The cruise ships get you, especially because when you're paying for these things with your room card or a medallion or a bracelet, you just don't pay close attention, and the bill at the end of your cruise can be shocking. Finally, the 12th thing that smart cruise passengers always do is to have a disembarkation plan. The saddest day of your trip is made worse by taking an hour to disembark and maybe just as long to get a taxi or Uber afterwards. Smart cruisers arrange their transportation in advance, either pre-ordering a rideshare or arranging for a bus to the airport. Often, they self-disembark to beat the crowd. What does that mean? Rather than leave their bags out in the hall the night before, they keep them and they take them with them as they get off the ship before the announcement is made that the bags are ready for pickup. Sure, it means getting off the ship maybe 20 or 30 minutes before the rest of the crowd, but that 20 or 30 minutes could save 2 hours. Remember, it's not just the passengers from your ship that you're competing for a taxi with, but the passengers of possibly 8 or 9 ships when you're in ports like Miami and other huge ports. So how many of these tips do you already do? Did you learn a couple that you'll try on your next cruise? Leave me a comment, and please do hit those like and subscribe buttons. Well, that's all about the 12 things that smart cruise passengers always do, and that's my One Virgin topic for today. Do you have any questions? Are there any topics that you'd like to hear about? Leave me a message below. And until next time, ahoy sailor.